Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Hello, one and all. Happy Sunday to you. Okay, so hello to Karen and Connie Bomer, V. Thomas, Donna Reese, Catherine Bryant, Black Targaryen. Okay, I hope I got that right. Targaryen. Oh, Targaryen. All right, thank you. And then Whoopi Rock One, hello. And Shay Doll, Jay Amore, Legs, Lydia Washington, Mama Jane, Marcia Ware, Joan Garcia, welcome. Joan wants to say hi to a few people. Set the mood. It's mood. Why did I say mud? Mood. I can see that U is accented. Yes, set the mood. Is that German? Okay, and who else is here? Sheila Watson, Carolyn Sowers, hi. Power of Love, Beverly Paddington, I'm sorry. Tanya Sweet. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Okay. I think that's, it's a bunch of other people. But anyway, let's just get started, shall we? So, Merry Christmas. I love this image right here. I was up all night decorating my place, as you can see here. I hope you approve. Or is this a stock photo? Oh, man, I don't know. It could be stock. If that was my place, I just say this much. If that was my place, I would probably live in a different zip code. Maybe. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It just screams Christmas. Okay. Let's see here. And there we go. So, again, this is the official. Well, not really. Can you tell I changed the photo? I mean, not that there was anything wrong with the original photo, but I've always loved this photo. So I changed it up. I hope the Sussexes don't mind, but I don't know, just I like the chemistry. Yeah, I like the chemistry in that photo. So I just changed it up a bit. But yeah, I don't think they mind. At least it's a great photo, right? Oh, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. I rather enjoy it myself. There you go. There's that screensaver. Yeah, love that. Okay. And it's like super HD. Okay. All right. Very good. So greetings to one and all. Oh, wait. Why is that blank? Jeez. Okay. There we go. Trigger alert. Flabby face. Trigger alert. I'm just gonna just get into it, you guys. Okay. I'll spare you just for a second. Let me say hello to a couple more people here. Hello, Myra V and Teslin Dawkins. Yes. Hello, Karen. All right, let's get back into that then. Trigger alert, flabby face. Listen, power cuts loom after Met Office misses the big freeze. Yeah, so that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that little panel on the side there. Well, as you can see, I don't like to use that M word. As a matter of fact, that is a word that is blocked on the comment section. I don't like it. I don't like to use it. But that M word drama harmed Queen's health. A 96-year-old woman's health was harmed because of the M word. Really? Um, Nothing to say about that um, big yellow toothed, white haired, flabby faced. Nothing to say about that. There was no stress involved on a 96-year-old woman who, from reports recently, it has been alleged was terminally ill. There was nothing about that situation that may have instigated a 96-year-old woman dying quietly and peaceful in one of her several homes. No, that doesn't sound logical to the tabloids and their editors and pseudo journalists. That doesn't sound logical at all. That a 96-year-old woman who had just lost her husband because of his long-term health issues, and then of course, their son who obviously didn't do anything. But when a person doesn't do anything and a person is not guilty of something, everybody pays out 12 million pounds to someone they never met for something that they certainly didn't do. I think I just paid out 12 million pounds a week ago to someone I never met for something that I didn't do. So there you have it. That's what happened or did not happen. I guess recollections may vary, but if there is someone who you haven't harmed in any way and they require a settlement of 12 million pounds because you never met them and certainly never done anything to them, that would make that person on the screen, whose name I dare not speak, that would make him one of the most unlucky people in this world. Now, let's review. Okay, so you have this awkward situation where obviously Andrew has reached a settlement to someone he never met for something that he didn't do. And one of the, you know, biggest pieces of the puzzle is a photo that he didn't take. So that's three different didn'ts or shouldn't no three different didn'ts or don'ts. He paid out I'm sorry. She paid out, Her Majesty paid out 12 million pounds or more. Will never know the actual figure to someone he never met for something he certainly didn't do. And that had nothing to do with any misery that was caused to someone who happened to be 94, 95, 96 years old by the time they passed away quietly in one of her several homes provided by the sovereign grant. I repeat, one of her several homes that was provided by the sovereign grant. I should be so lucky to have money to pay out to someone that has not been harmed by someone who never met them. And of course, if you consider what my reported wealth is, that's barely a flash in the pan, but I digress. But that is barely a flash in the pan. So, oh, wait a minute. Was that a big word, digress? I think it was. Happy Sunday, one and all. But yeah, so, even if I was 96 years old and I passed away peacefully in my northernmost home, I'm still doing okay, I think. So there you have it, the 12 million pound man or more. The sick old man, the man whose mama reached into her very deep pockets and pulled out said payment. So I think it's ridiculous, and it is just more vitriol from the press. It is an all out attack on the Sussexes right now. And you guys, we knew that this was going to happen. So, you know, it's not it's not any type of surprise. I believe if I can quote someone from the no, I probably shouldn't quote someone, but I loved when someone on the docu-series said to put your big girl pants on. And yeah, so there you have it. And much to do about nothing. All right, so moving on. Now, I told you guys that I have a source. Just like other people have sources, I have a source, and I have it on good authority that this is actually a rough draft of the Queen's death certificate. And as you can see, it reads old age, nothing else, just old age. Never mind what the photos say, it was just old age. And also a 12 million pound settlement to someone my son has never met for something he's never done. People make that arrangement all the time. So I, took the liberty of blowing this up for you because if you look at the original copy, alleged original copy, you can't really see that 12 million pound settlement. So, but because I am just wild about you guys, I made sure that I secured one of those copies and that I have blown it up so that you can see that 12 million pound settlement for something that never happened, right? You can see it clearly. So that probably had nothing to do with it. There was no stress involved. What about the bailout for the Swiss chateau? Do you know that I'm over 50 years old and I can't think of one time where I've ever had someone bail me out because of my Swiss chateau? However, I'm not Andrew, the luckiest man alive. And then, of course, there was the constant pain and stress of this situation where you want to lend protection. And of course, you are trying to secure his future. So then it is alleged that perhaps you had to make a deal with someone. And so on a session day, you announced that you hope that my son's side piece have the same title that I have used for over 70 years, and that is the Queen. Maybe that person can become the Queen too. How about that? So, a 96-year-old woman may have been pressured, allegedly, possibly, considerably, by someone who would themselves become the head of the church, even though that person is a confirmed adulterer, and he will take his adultering mistress to the throne with him, and somehow they may have coerced someone, possibly, to sign a document to say on Ascension Day, by the way, that was the anniversary of the Queen becoming sovereign, was Ascension Day. So that person, who you've taken into the royal household, your mistress, you want them to be known as queen. And so maybe if there was a little pressure added to someone who, I don't know, maybe in their 90s, to sign such a document and to parrot that talking point about making their side piece, the queen consort henceforth, Maybe that caused a little pressure. I don't know. But I guess it's just easier to blame it on Harry and Meghan. And of course, there were other aggravating factors. Now, I'm no doctor, but there were other aggravating factors that may have caused the Queen a great deal of stress. How about if you send someone on an all expense paid trip to the Caribbean? What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong if you send two grown adults, one of which is a prince of the realm and a future Prince of Wales, right? What if you sent a future Prince of Wales and his mute wife? As you can see, I'm in a particular mood today. I apologize in advance, but I'm in a bit of a mood today because these people are working my last nerves with all this nonsense, and I'm just feeling I'm in my feelings about it. I'll just say that I'm kind of in my feelings. Um, so you send two adult people, one of which is the future sovereign himself, and the other is what they refer to as a mute woman, according to one of the royal reporters. And instead of actually celebrating your ascension to the throne, your platinum jubilee, they go and lose half the Commonwealth. Now that'll mess you up. That'll mess you up, wouldn't it? You value one thing in life, right? The thing that you are most proud of, the legacy of your father, no less, the British Commonwealth. Nothing is more important than the Commonwealth. As a matter of fact, you love the Commonwealth so much that you couldn't trust William to be the president of the Commonwealth. No, no. You wanted someone who could actually talk to people and reach out to people, and someone who actually saved Jamaica from leaving in the past, right? Remember that? When Harry flew down to Jamaica and the prime minister in Jamaica was talking all that stuff. We want out of here. We want out of here. And Harry showed up and say, hey, what's it all about? He was like some Latin lover when he went down there. What the matter with the you? What are the matter with the you? He may as well have been like some Latin lover when he showed up. And that prime minister, she literally grabbed him and hugged him and smooched all over him. And next thing you know, disaster averted, right? Remember that? So could you imagine if they had sent William down to Jamaica when there was that movement for independence? What would have happened, huh? Well, not independence, but, that Republican movement that they had. What would have happened? Oh, they would have lost Jamaica then and there. But Harry shows up and all is forgiven. So it's no wonder that the Queen was a bit stressed out. Maybe that's what happened to her. I'm sure it had nothing to do with Harry or Meghan. She loved them, but the other ones, I'm sure that there was a profound affection for them But in terms of them actually having her complete confidence, I don't think so. Zig Owl, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Sunday to you. And also to Nafisa Shabazz, thank you so much for the super sticker, as well as watching Royal Sussex. Thank you very much. Happy Sunday. And Phyllis Johnson, happy Sunday to you, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex, as well as being a member of Royal Sussex. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. So, yes, I can only speculate about these things. I don't know anything for sure, but all I'm saying is the Queen put her trust in Will and Kate to go to the Caribbean to help shore up the ties of the Commonwealth. And instead, what happened? They come back with a bill. Not only did not only did they go and have an epic failure, right? They come back with a bill. Do you guys remember that? William was in debt for $35 trillion.
Prince, Trenchtown wants $245 billion. That's what Trenchtown wants. $345 billion. Yes, thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what Trenchtown wants. Yes. How you mean?
Not only did they embarrass the royal family, but they come back $35 trillion in debt. 335. They come back $335 million in debt. So not only did they lose the Commonwealth, they came back owing money. That's not how these things work. Do you know how many times the Queen has been around the Commonwealth and she come back with all kind of gifts and everything? William goes on one trip on the Commonwealth, and next thing you know, he comes back $35 trillion. No, $335 trillion. No, I'm sorry, tree. That's even worse than three. It's tree. $335 billion in debt. Now, you got to really be clumsy to do that. But that's what happened to William. So all I can say is there's a lot of things that may have stressed the Queen in those, last years. I don't believe it has anything to do with the Sussexes. Look at that. Broken hearts, pain, active love. I can't even see the other one. Queen's tears. And it all centers around one of the most disappointing, one of the most woefully inadequate people to have ever cast his rather portly shadow upon the upon the halls of Windsor. And that and that, of course, is this person. What a disgusting individual. He's such a sick old man. He's just sick. Do you hear me? Sick. He's a sick old man. Disgusting. That's what that kid said. Disgusting. And I agree with that kid. Andrew, you're a sick old man. Disgusting. I mean, when that kid yelled disgusting, you could hear disgusting like 3 or 4 countries away. It was the loudest sound since the eruption of Krakatoa. Disgusting. So before they tried to before they tried to blame the Sussexes, I was one big word ahead of myself, wasn't I? But before they tried to blame the Sussexes, take a look at people closer to home, not somebody 5,000 miles or whatever away. Think about that person. That's the one you should look at. Amongst others, there are others. I mean, it could have been easy for the Queen getting the shakedown for an £8 million helicopter. I mean, how many people just go to their grandma? Hey, what up? What up, G? Gangsta Gang? I need an £8 million helicopter, and I need it today. I don't remember ever having that conversation with my grandma. So, what's up with that, right? What's up? And so, let the revolution begin. So the Welsh and Scots are coming out to march for their independence. This is how King Charles III's rule starts. Well, I mentioned that the other day, didn't I? And so in Edinburgh today, on the Royal Mile, you may recognize Giles Cathedral. That is where the Queen's service took place up there in Scotland. They are marching. And on the right side, where you see the woman holding that red cell phone, that is where the guy in the very quiet, muffled streets of Edinburgh yelled out as loud as he could. That is the very famous location where we heard, Andrew, you're a sick old man. So just to give you a little reference to the geography, the Queen was rolling down the street in her royal state hearse, and the kid on the side saw a group of siblings, an aging group of baby boomers, actually a couple of them pensioners at this point, walking toward him, and he was so overwhelmed with emotion that something welled up inside of him and said, Andrew, you're a sick old man. And then he was plucked from the crowd, thrown to the ground, handcuffed. And as he was carted away, he yelled, disgusting! Okay, so don't blame the Sussexes for the, you can't really say untimely. I mean, she was 96, but don't blame the Sussexes for that. Look at them inside of the Westminster Abbey. I still don't know if this girl is back here laughing or crying. I mean, did she have a bet with her father that he would actually make it to the ceremony? This was the memorial service for Prince Philip. So is the poor girl laughing or crying? I still don't know. I mean, it could have been some kind of little side bet or something, whether or not he would actually make it to the Westminster Abbey. But whatever it was, he's disgusting. He's a sick old man who caused his mother a great deal of grief. I won't even allege that. Who caused his mama a great deal of grief. So, if you would like to assign blame to someone for, what's happened, look at that person right there, that big vicious bowl of jello. He's the likely cause of any hardships within that family, not the Sussexes. And let's not forget his rather checkered past. Long before Harry showed up, he has made friendships and alliances and made frequent trips back and forth with some pretty shady characters. Like right here, Prince Andrew should be the subject of bullying probe. Over 12 complaints made by palace staff over overbearing and verbally abusive behavior. And look at the date on that. That's the 22nd of January, 2022. This isn't something just recent. Paul Page worked as a Royal Protection Command from 1998 to 2004. He has claimed he personally made 3 separate complaints to the palace. Now, where is the public acknowledgement of those complaints? Or does it take an Oprah Winfrey interview for something like that to materialize? I think what it is, if there's a false complaint, they'll bring it out for an Oprah interview. But if it's a real, legitimate complaint, then they just, don't say anything about it. They'll keep it under their hats so that they could protect the sick old man. That's what the double standard is. And now, as far as I'm concerned, Andrew, the sick old man, has joined the ranks of the rest of those Yetis, including the actual hairy beast of the great Northwest Yeti, the one that has roamed the forests here in the United States and Canada for years, as well as the new Yeti that has moved to Rosarita, Mexico. They got Yetis down in Mexico, obviously. And of course, there was a Yeti sighting all over Britain for the past few years. You can tell when you're dealing with those Yetis because you can see how they have that rather awkward dip to the knee. That's a Yeti. So, and let us not forget, and you guys, I have to add another one to my collection of Yetis. They all seem to have something rather overbearing in common. But there was a Yeti in Washington, D.C., and then there's that other Yeti that has pretty much focused around London. So, yes, Yeti Marco. Yes, Yeti Marco. So anyway, that is my take on that headline. I think they got the wrong one, boo. Y'all barking up the wrong tree. Don't look any further than that royal household if you want to find out what, that part of the royal household. You'd have to look toward actually, I can name a few people. That sick old man is just one of them. Okay. And of course, as it was Ascension Day, you guys know that happened this year. You know that, don't you? When the Queen proclaimed that Camilla should be known as Queen Consort, that happened this year. It's hard to believe that happened this year, but it did. And of course, it is alleged, I have to throw alleged on this one, that in order to make sure that this one received rather genteel treatment from this one, they had to agree to make this one the Queen Consort. Otherwise, this one may have had some pretty rough times ahead. But obviously, in order to get this one to say what they said, maybe there was something signed other than that communication about calling this one a queen. So there was some sleight of hand there. Some hands bigger than others, but again, recollections may vary. So whatever recollections are. But yeah, that's what happened, in my opinion. I can't prove anything. Thus far, it's all alleged. But I think somebody may have been shaking down that 90-something-year-old woman in order to get her to go along with certain things. And, it is evident by the way things turned out as far as I'm concerned. Again, I have no evidence. And thus far, it is all alleged. But there you have it. Andrew's a sick old man. Camilla is the Queen Consort. And Charles is invincible because now he is the king, and he is not subject to anything. He is above the law. Okay, and speaking of which, the king, Charles III. Charles III is in a very interesting position right now because as he is supposed to be, the king for everyone, he doesn't seem to ever defend his own family, right? When he was a Prince of Wales, he didn't do much to defend people, and certainly not someone who is been given a raw deal, as he may know, because he himself has spoke about how terrible life can be in the royal family. So you would think better than anyone, he should understand. Well, right here, there is, let's see, it says Sunday, the 18th of December, 2022. In light of the latest article by Jeremy Clark in the Sun newspaper, which is dated the December the 16th, 2022, we who represent the global community and representatives of the Commonwealth have come together in solidarity to call out the persistent violence that we have all bared witness to for the past 6 years. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, has endured a torrent of racist, misogyny, and targeted abuse. Mr. Clarkson wrote the following at night. Well, anyway, I'm not going to read that part about that again because that is just so disgusting. It is of grave concern that a senior member of the royal family, the Queen Consort Camilla, who has been patron of Save Lives since 2016, was recently quoted saying, "Whether we are aware of it or not, we all know someone who has endured domestic abuse, and we can therefore all be a part of combating these heinous acts." Camilla would next be seen at a private event entertaining at a Christmas function with men who have publicly denying Meghan's self harm. I'm redacting some of the word or changing some of the words to avoid problems. And another who wants Meghan, oh God, I hate to say it, but stripped naked and so on and so on. Oh, this is just sick. And paraded through the streets. Such statements incite violence against the Duchess of Sussex, as previously confirmed by former Chief Neil Basser of the what is that? Of the MIS, no, of the, what is that? That's the Metropolitan Police, or I forget which agency that is, who had disclosed credible threats by far right extremists and were dangerous and real. He said that those threats were dangerous and real. Jeremy Clarkson purposely made these comments to incite violence against Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. This behavior is unacceptable, and we call for immediate action to be taken and an end to abuse targeted toward girls and women. We also ask that the abuse toward the Duchess of Sussex to cease immediately, that is, and we call upon the international community to strongly condemn the article written by Jeremy Clarkson. We are also calling upon the royal family to publicly condemn this deplorable behavior. And if I were to remain silent, I'd be guilty of complicity, says Albert Einstein. So that is a quote by Albert Einstein. If we were to remain silent, we'd be guilty of complicity. The global community of the Commonwealth and international, the global community of Commonwealth and international nations. That who the letter is signed by. It is very small print, as you see. But yeah, but that's what it says there. And so they are appealing to the royal family and to the powers that be to do something about it, to raise hell about it. I mean, parts of that, it's like, yesterday, I guess I was more shocked by it. But today, as I tried to, I don't even want to say it, let alone, I hate that it even happened. I don't even want to see it. But that is what is trending right now. I mean, Jeremy Clarkson, who has this farm show, is making quite an impression for himself by this vitriolic column that he wrote, asking or appealing for violence toward the Duchess of Sussex. Absolutely deplorable. So, I know. This is from his daughter. My views are and have always been clear when it comes to misogyny, bullying, and the treatment of women by the media. I want to make it very clear that I stand against everything that my dad wrote about Meghan Markle, and I remain standing in support of those that are targeted with online hatred. So that statement comes from Jeremy Clarkson's daughter. I've never seen her before, so I couldn't pick her out in the crowd. I don't know if she leads a public life, but this is what was on her Twitter account. Let us be clear about what's at stake here. It's like symbolic annihilation. If you can destroy people who are symbols of social justice, then you can scare people to not want to be public. It is a way to signal to the rest of us to stand down. So you can see there it says Sophia Noble. And of course, hashtag Meghan, I'm sorry, Harry and Meghan Netflix. Interesting 24 hours. I mean, yesterday, or actually, it's been over 24 hours now. It's about a day and a half. This has been brewing, and this is what's got the social media on fire right now. And I'm so glad that this was not missed. It started as just a little newspaper, just like one paragraph in a newspaper, and it has been amplified all over the place. Yeah, I know. Never complain, never explain is such BS. Absolutely. Let me see. I think members of the squad who have Twitter should get this topic trending to get people's attention. What is that? Music Lover Army? That is exactly what's happening. I mean, when I scroll through, it's everywhere. Now, this is one of those reasons why we need to be alarmed at who's actually running Twitter, because he who commands the algorithm can cause a lot of problem. But fortunately, there are other sources of, getting information out. And, when they want something on social media bad enough, there's a way to get it out there. Plus, let's face it, this is ad revenue for them. They don't want to lose that money either. But I noticed that since that person has taken over Twitter, that a lot of things that I would have never guessed would pop up on my feed all of a sudden is on my feed. So there is that to think about. Okay, let's see here. Jeremy Clarkson needs to be put in jail because if you think about it, sounds like he put a contract on her and they could charge him with attempted murder. Think about it. Well, there is always that possibility that if something happens, that he would likely be liable in some way or another. There is a case to be made for that, for sure, because it is clear, evident that he has maintained this for a while. So this isn't like some outlier. This isn't a one of. This is his core belief toward the Duchess of Sussex. And so it wouldn't be very difficult to make a case about it because this is how he's been rolling for some time. Thank you very much for your comment, Berta Sanchez. Connie Balmer says, I have been deeply affected by what this evil man wished Meghan. Is sick beyond words. Such a person would not be tolerated in my country. Never. Yeah, that's, well, like I said, one very unique thing about the UK is that, well, I won't say it's unique, but compared to the United States, there's a very vocal and very organized opposition to such, vitriol here in the United States. And I believe a lot of that has grown out of the civil rights movement. And even before, the heights of the civil rights movement, there's always been a lot of, political clout, a lot of people that look like me that are in the newsrooms, and not just in the newsrooms looking the other way, but like Professor Murray, Joy Reid, and of course, before the what's her name, Cross, before she was released of her position. Um, there's been a great deal of representation and outspoken representation. Now, unfortunately, they have been watered down over the years, and some of those voices have either gone silent or, as you can see on The View, they have decided to play the game, as they say. They have decided to play the game. So there's still some power there, but it's not exactly how it used to be. And I think that having Donald Trump erode away some of those safeguards in our country, we're not as safe as we used to be in the United States, especially as people of color. But just the general public, we're just not as safe, because the whole point of this alt-right, right-wing movement, this white supremacy rhetoric, is to wear us down to see exactly how much can they get away with, how far can they push. And using the royal family is being used by the alt-right, by the right wing. They are being used as the standard bearer for that movement. I mean, how else would you explain all of these MAGA people in the United States that seem to be so determined to defend the British royal family? Oh, sorry about that. Now, that one was by mistake. But they're so determined to defend the British royal family. For what? If you're truly an American, that is only supposed to be a novelty. I mean, seriously, the royal family for us is like a soap opera, a novelty. It really is like the Kardashians. It is not as much where we have that deference. It's just like some type of sideshow where you want to see something unusual, like living history or such. That's what it is. It's like going down to see the decorations at Christmas. Well, this doesn't happen every day, so let's pile up in the station wagon and go around and see the Christmas lights. That's what it is when the royals come to America. It's not a big deal. But when people have earned their place up there, then that's what we pay attention to. This is a meritocracy, not an aristocracy. And so we tend to support people on their merit, and not even necessarily people that we are in love with, not necessarily people that we like, but we support people in this country on their merit, not on their titles of birth. That is just something that we observe for fun. It's not a way of life for us. And that's one of the big differences, is that we don't have that born deference toward someone because of their titles. So the other day, I don't know who it was, but the woman told him, enough about the titles. I don't know which talking head that was, but he was making this big deal about the titles. Those things don't mean jack to us. Well, we don't care about a title. A title for what? What does the title do? What does the Duke and Duchess of Sussex title do for them? We're just satisfied that that's Harry and Meghan. And I just don't think that people get that. We're just satisfied that that's Harry and Meghan. Period. Full stop. And I don't want to compare them to other people in entertainment or in public life or politicians, because they are very singular because of their unique position and the fact that their relationship bridges the two countries, right? In a very unique way that we haven't seen for a long time. And, things have changed so much since then that it's just a very different thing. But they are in a very unique position. And because of the attention that they are commanding, it is a threat to that institution. And that is one of the big flaws of the royal family, is that you have some very mediocre people that are being called upon to be very stately, very engaging people, and they just don't have that. If you're not born with that talent, then you won't thrive. And that's how the Queen's father was. The Queen's father, Queen Elizabeth's father, was a very shy, insecure man who had a terrible stammer. And yet he was called upon to do great things. Well, he smoked a lot of cigarettes, he lost a lung, he died. That's what the stress of that position gave him. He lost his life. Literally, I do believe that he is as much a veteran of the Second World War as anybody else, not because of his, time on the battlefield, but they called upon him to do some amazing things. And he, aside from the press propping him up, he wasn't that person. He wasn't that person. This is why I believe that there will be a Queen Charlotte after William, because Charlotte seems to have it. So far, I mean, I don't know if she's just a kid, but she seems to have something that the other two do not have. So watch that space. Thank you so much, Connie Balmer, for your comment. Judy Rico says, I used to follow a YouTuber, and she is just as nasty. I never know her talking about Meghan. I unsubscribed her. I don't know who that person is. YouTuber. Of course, I don't want to know who the person is, but okay. Well, you know what? There's money in hate. And once they see the money that hate brings, that's where they gravitate. There are a few people, there are a few people that need not to be named at this point, but you guys know who they are. There's a few people who are building their platform on hating Meghan. There's people like one of the people used to work for Fox News, and that is how she's building her platform. She's decided, you know what? I won't do it every now and again. I'm just going to go after her every day. And that's what she's been up to. That's how she's building her platform, is by going after Meghan. What a sick way to live. Okay. Naomi Maria says, yes, Baron, here to admire people who earned their merits. This aristocracy does not belong to William. He his inherited wealth, not his position. Yeah, it's all what's been given. But as we all know, Harry is a born leader. Harry has the talent, the temperament, the patience of a king. And it's unfortunate that through an accident of birth that, he's stuck in that situation anyway. But his God-given talents are years ahead or much greater than that of the rest of the people in that family. And the sad thing is that everybody knows it, and especially the courtiers, but they just dare not speak it. They dare not speak it. Okay, this is Victoria Newton. She is the editor of The Sun. She gave the nod for the horrific piece written by Jeremy Clarkson to be published this morning. She appeared on BBC. What is that? Laura Kay. Sorry about that. Laura Kay. When I say influential woman enable misogyny, I ain't making it up. Well, if you take a look at the image there, you can see that she is celebrating the fact that she was one of the last people to speak to Prince Charles before he became King Charles. Victoria Newton says, I was with Charles on his last working day as the Prince of Wales. He hosted me with typical generosity. Whatever in the world does that mean? Now, this is where it gets really interesting, right? This is where it gets really interesting. So, as you can see, Charles is fascinated by her phone, right? Take a look at this. What do you see there? What, pray tell, do you think is on that phone? Anybody? What do you think is on that phone? Who do you think is on that phone? To me, it looks like a strategy session. The only thing that we don't know is, why are you meeting with Charles, Prince of Wales, the day before his mama died? Why are you there in the first place? Nothing to do with the Queen's death, by the way, but just in general, why are you there? Why are you there? Aha! Yes, there are no prizes, but yes, that is William. That is William, Kate, and they're cheering. That is, oh, you got it too, the Boers. Ah, you too, Will and Kate. All right. So, okay, looks like Lydia was first. But yeah, that's Will and Kate and the children. As a matter of fact, it's this photo right here. It's this photo right here. I wonder what that conversation was about. I wonder what that conversation was about. Let's take a step back there. Oh, Your Highness, such, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Yes, Okay, and yes, and bingo. That is what's on the phone. One could only imagine what that conversation was about. Interesting, right? Interesting. Oh, what twisted webs we weave when first we practice to deceive. The plot thickens. Okay, Legs has a super chat. Anyone else recognize this is the second time within 3 weeks for Camilla to call out sexism, misogyny, and racism, and yet she stays silent? We had Angela Angela 11. Yes, Angela 11, Lady Hussey, and now Jeremy Clark. Pathetic. Yeah, Angela 11 said something about Meghan's skin tone, right? And then you got Lady Hussey. Yeah, you know what? I almost forgot about Angela 11, but Lady Hussey, I was thinking about that today. I'm like, wow, this is the second time. Well, okay, Legs, you are so right to make this connection because Angela Levin has written the definitive book about Camilla. And then you got Lady Hussey, who is Camilla's lady in waiting. And, yeah, she stepped down, but she'll be back. She's going to the coronation. And now Jeremy Clarkson with his rant that he had published. So, yeah, there's those three things. And it all seems to center around the emotional support Camilla. Yeah, good looking out, Legs. That is very observant of you. It does seem to focus around Camilla's world. Camilla, who just had that party where she invited two of the most abusive people toward the Duchess of Sussex. But yeah, thank you, Legs, and thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. But yeah, she invited two of the biggest abusers to her party. Insane. Yep. And as someone tweeted yesterday, claims to campaign on behalf of women who are abused, but invites men who publicly, verbally abuse Princess Meghan to a private Christmas party. How about that? Charles was nowhere to be around, which is interesting. But I guess that was Camilla's chance to rub shoulders. Camilla rubbing shoulders. I hope nobody was injured. Okay. Oh, sorry. Why do I keep clicking that? Okay, I'm scrolling here. Oh, thank you so much, Elaine Parker, for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Sunday to you. And thank you for being a member as well. Shelly L says, now, why do they have those two boys dressed like senior citizens from the 50s? That is kind of malt shop couture, isn't it? That is malt shop couture. That is lunchroom counter down at the Woolworth, at the FW Woolworths. Thank you so much, Shelly L, for the super chat. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Okay, and God's Child says, hi, Baron and all. Please kindly advise, what is America saying about Jeremy Clarkson's statement? Have your news channels picked it up? I wouldn't be able to respond as I've been locked out. Love you all. God's Child, I actually haven't seen anything on the American channels. Now, this is the thing, though. It's the weekend before Christmas. And because of that, is this the weekend before? What day is Christmas? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's the weekend before. Well, Christmas is a week from Sunday. So, well, Christmas Eve is Saturday. Good God, I got shopping to do. But yeah, so God's Child, anything that happens on a Friday is a dump day. So traditionally, I don't know how it is where you're at, but you're in the UK. Well, traditionally for us, they call it the news dump. And so anything that they don't want people to see, that comes out on a Friday for a reason, because it gets lost over the weekend. And by Monday, nobody's talking about it. So with this being the holiday season, and of course that story emerging on a Friday, unfortunately, by the time we get to like the morning news shows, a lot of that heat will have evaporated. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. So I'm hoping that we can keep the heat going. But if something big is announced Monday or something dramatic happens Monday, then for sure is not going to have much traction to it. Plus, the British media is talking about it today and have talked about it yesterday. And by Monday, unless there's like a big apology or something, I'm afraid that this is going to just kind of drift away. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't. I hope it's still a big story Monday, because it's the only way that the international media, and more importantly for us here in the US, the American media, will have a chance to hitch their wagons to this story, as if they're still talking about it Monday. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not so optimistic about it, but I am hopeful. But thank you so much for your comment, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Sunday to you. Wish these were happier circumstances, of course, but we cannot let that gigantic talking head ruin our holiday season. So thank you so much. Okay, MLC, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy holidays to you. Thank you so much for being here. And, oh, okay. I was like, Stella, what is her name? Stella Pardon. I was like, Stella Pardon. Stella Pardon's watching Royal Sussex. Oh, but it's not, not that I'm more happy to have Stella Pardon, but Stella Corsa, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And I will take you over a Stella Pardon any day of the week. Of course, Stella is Dolly Parton's sister. But yeah, I saw Stella and I got excited. And by the way, that's always been one of my favorite names, Stella. I love that name. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Okay. Let me see here. All right, so 24 hours later, he received the worst news possible. His beloved mother and our adored queen had died, and the nation was plunged into mourning. I saw Charles on what was to become his last working day as the Prince of Wales before he rushed to Ayrshire to his mother's bedside in Balmoral the next morning. With typical generosity, Charles hosted me, and I learned more about some of the amazing stories of medics nominated to our Who Cares Wins Award. Now, this is the reason why Victoria, whatever her name is, that's why she was there with Charles. And our meeting was, of course, captured by our legendary royal photographer, Arthur Edwards. Arthur Edwards. Why does it not surprise me that brown-nosing, you-know-what kissing photographer, why does that not surprise me that he was within hand's reach of Charles and Camilla on the eve of the Queen's death? Why does it not surprise me? Who has been photographing the prince for more than 40 years. Again, why does that not surprise me? So that means Arthur Edwards, who is not so sharp these days, he's the one that took this photo. You see, they trust Arthur Edwards. I'm pretty sure they would have preferred that this photo not have actually gone out like this, but because they're amongst friends, I mean, after all, it's the sun, and if you look too closely, you'll get some of that sun in your eye. But because they're all friends, that's probably why they didn't scrutinize this photo more, and we ended up seeing this photo. Now, I don't know that that's ever going to be relevant, but it just goes to show you the length of the schmoozing rather, and brown nosing. I mean, come on. Did you really have to go to Scotland? I don't know where this woman lives. What's her name? Victoria Newton. I don't know where she lives, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't live in Scotland. I'm just guessing. I'm pretty sure she don't live in Scotland. So Charles uses his country homes as a way to keep the enemy close. You know, they say, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. Well, friends or enemies, I'm pretty sure they're one and the same to him. But having these royal households, it creates a certain air of superiority and creates a certain impression where people may be favorable toward you. And so you ever see, like, if you go to, say, I don't know, one of the most recognized examples for most people who've traveled to the UK or Europe, or, okay, if you travel to Europe, you go to Versailles, and you'll notice there are no hallways. There's no hallways. In order to access one room to the next, you have to, do they call it an epaulet? What do they call that, where there's a series of rooms and doors, but there's no hallway? That's because when a guest would come to visit, the more access you had, the deeper you can penetrate into the building, into these gilded spaces, the more important you are, and the more prestige it lends to the person living there. So that is why they do that. And so to be an Arthur Edwards or to be a Victoria Newton and to have access to these spaces, I mean, to tell you, that is a sweet deal. That is a sweet deal. And that is one of the strategies that the royals use to impress people and to solicit their loyalty. Like, for instance, how about Jason Knopf taking his grandma all around the royal households, not just what the tourists see, but behind the scenes. And Jason Knopf having that type of privilege Boy, I tell you, that goes a long way. It's enough to make you want to defend them with your lives, or at least until somebody offers you a better deal. That is enough to have that level of loyalty and protection. So it that's what it does for you. And Charles knows how to use that soft power, as they say, to keep the loyalty of the people around him. As a matter of fact, one of the photos that I came across today when I was prepping was I found that photo of what is it? Charles, when he invited all those black people to come to Clarence House. I think it was Clarence House. He invited all those black people for whatever that cause was to come to Clarence House. I mean, there was more black people in there than there were in all of the Caribbean, all piled up in that house, there to see Prince Charles. So now he's King Charles III, and now he has so much greater access and more power. He doesn't have to ask permission. He can just do. So it's only going to get worse. His influence and input, it is only going to get worse. But he may be digging a hole for himself. In the long run, he may actually dig a hole for himself. So let's see. I'm looking for it. Nope, that's not it. Let me see. That was the 15th. Let me find the 14th. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so the 14th is here. By the way, you guys, please hit that like button. Again, please hit the like button. There is some 1,498 people in here, but there aren't enough likes to connect. So please hit that like button. Okay. Uh-huh. Nope, that's not it either. Okay, so the 13. Let me go 13. Sorry about that, you guys. Just for the benefit of those who have not seen it, I will share it again. Gosh, that was a few days ago. Huh, further than I thought. Okay, never mind. Let's move on. So this is from Cold War Steve. In case you wonder who does these great collages, this is Cold War Steve. And once again, he has managed to somehow cut and paste his way into a pretty compelling image. And he's on Twitter. And you'll notice some of the usual people, like there in the background. You can see that is not a mountain in the rear, by the way. That is not Mount Rainier. That is not Everest. That is, of course, Jeremy Clarkson. There's Dan Wooten. Of course, you could see he's not really. Anyway, you could see you can see the sick old man in the background there. But yeah, this is a pretty cool one. And is that money all over the floor? No, it's not money. Anyway, it looks like they were happy. It describes the moment. So hats off to Cold War Steve for another one of his great works here. But I love what he does with these things. So 14. Okay. All right. All right, not that one. That's 13. Okay, must be 12. All right, sorry about that, you guys. I am thinking and working at the same time. Aha. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. All right, lurking in the shadows. There he is, Jason. And And as I mentioned, behind the scenes, I know most of y'all have seen this already, but I'm sharing it probably for the fifth time. This is that access that I was speaking of. He took his grandma from Texas on a whirlwind tour of the UK. Look at what I've done. Look at what I've achieved. And took her to all of those private spaces and, of course, the public spaces in all three royal households. And they actually had an article about it back in Texas in their hometown paper, celebrating the fact that this hometown kid was able to take his grandma to all of these places. So that was room for celebration, success. So anyway, enough of Jason Knopf. Legs has, I see, they brought up Jeremy Clarkson on CNN. Yes, did I see that? Did I see that? I think I saw that on Twitter where they mentioned him on CNN, but I didn't see the whole story. Oh, no, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. I may be confusing it with something else. But thank you so much, Legs. I am going to look for that for sure. Because I'd be interested to see that myself, but I don't recall. Jeremy Clarkson went on Unhinged Rant, which saw him attack both Nicola Sturgeon and Meghan Markle. So you guys, I don't know that this is going to make that big of a difference, but do bear in mind, by the way, Georgia Walker, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex, and happy Sunday, and thank you so much for being a member. So I don't know that this makes a huge difference, but they are really pissing off Scotland. They are truly getting on the wrong side of the Scots. And as evident by this from the National, which is a Scottish newspaper. As a matter of fact, they're so Scottish that even I think that the N in Scottish National, I think the letter N is replaced by a silhouette of Scotland. So that is how much they want you to know that this is a Scottish newspaper. It is not a British newspaper. It's a Scottish newspaper. And they don't really cotton too well to, I'll say, Westminster. Okay, they're not. It's like I think the saying was, I would rather have England. I'd rather have England as a neighbor than to be a slave to Westminster. So that is the sentiment in Scotland. It's not that they have it in for England. It's just that they feel like they are being subjugated and have been for about 300 years by the English Parliament. That is what they're in opposition to. They want complete independence and autonomy. Now, to be fair, only about 53 to 54% of the people want out of the United Kingdom, which is a majority. And in a democracy, a win is a win. That is still a majority. So Nicola Sturgeon said that she wanted a referendum. And when the courts would not allow the referendum, then she said that she will use the general election as a referendum for Scottish independence. And so what you guys have noticed is that from time to time, when you look at the, or should I say, when you listen to or look at the, what is it, the GBN? No, wait, is it GBN News or CBN? Whatever that radio station is, the one that James O'Brien is on, whenever you listen to that, there's always someone from Scotland that seems to call in completely irate, not only about the British, but they have seemed to have adopted the Sussexes. That is what is so wild to me, is that they have adopted Harry and Meghan. It's like everybody who has it in for England, for Britain, the royal family, they tend to adopt Harry and Meghan. Like a Meghan, one of us. When the Italians were in the World Cup, they seem to have adopted Meghan. And so I'm not saying that this is necessarily the best thing ever, but it does give me a bit of, you know, room to at least do a bit of a victory lap in that there's support for them in a lot of places, including England, including Australia, where they have some of the worst, and I do mean the worst coverage of anything Harry and Meghan. There's a lot of support for them there. So, that being said, I just think that it's one of the things, like in Australia, where people are actually using the mistreatment of the Sussexes as a fuel for their independence movement. Am I the only one who sees that, or am I like wishing or thinking too much? But I just seem to notice that every so often there's someone who is totally irate about anything to do with that family, and then or with the policies of the government, whatever. um and they use, of course, the Sussexes as a fuel, as a talking point. Well, look at how they're doing Harry and Meghan. Well, how about the way they're treating Harry and Meghan? So, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm not very choosy where that comes from. A win is a win. And don't forget that a win is a win. Never mind all of the particulars and the details and stuff. I say just accept the win and move on, because it's the same as myself and maybe even a few of the squatties. As you notice, I take much glee in pointing out, on occasion, that on occasion that I point out that there's a Scottish independent movement. As a matter of fact, I think that quite a few of the squatties has lusted after the yellow shirt guy. I don't know if he's from Scotland or if he's from Wales, but there are quite a few people who are pining for the yellow shirt guy, for that very reason, because it just seems like yellow shirt guy is on the right side of history, and and we'll take it. We'll take that for what it's worth. So that's how I feel about it. Is that it seems to be a bit of a backlash that's being used as a talking point by the people in Scotland and so on. So just something to I don't want to say celebrate, but just to notice and to kind of grin and and laugh if you feel compelled to do so. I know I do. I wish I could find that one guy that called in to it's LBC News. I wish I could find that one guy that called in to the LBC. Oh my goodness, he was absolutely irate, but that is like buried so deep into everything. I don't think I could probably find it if I wanted to. So, unfortunately, I don't have that to share, but still, it is fun to think about. So, all right. Let me, huh, let me see here. Here. All right. So, yeah, no chance of that. I'm looking and I cannot find it. It is buried way too deep. Okay, Wales wants independence. Chantel Dixon says, yes, very true. Wales does want the independence. I seem to think that is a common thread um, with the Commonwealth. Let me see here. Scottish, not British independence. recovery. Huh? No, Scottish hashtag. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's a hashtag. Okay, sorry about that. Let me see. There's still a lot of haters on Twitter against Meghan, but it's not as much since the docuseries. More, yeah, and that's another good point. The docuseries is really having a big effect. Blessing Squatties, they all need to pin Sharon Osbourne and get well card to the hospital. Say, okay, yes. Hey, I don't hate anybody, and I hope she's okay. She's had a rough time of it, and anyway, I wish her well. No sarcasm there. I do wish her well. She's a person just like the rest of us, and yeah, she's um, I don't wish anything bad on her, and I hope she'll recover from whatever has her down, and 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 she'll be okay. And I'm sure somebody's praying for her. And she's a mom, and she has a husband and stuff. So there's people who need her and depend upon her. So let's just okay, and that's what I have to say about that. Um, okay, that's how I feel about her and her situation. And got it. All right, so there you go. What was I going to say about this? Comes a huge. Okay, yeah. Clarkson, the odious former host of Top Gun, who punched one of his producers amid a childish trope over not getting the food he wanted, is not exactly known for his kindness, but even in the UK's notorious media landscape, his latest rant is just unhinged. Yes, and there you have it. Okay, a little background. There's Nicholas Sturgeon and the Waleses now. They're the Waleses. Prince William and Kate Middleton left in a massive trail of royal criticism after Scotland tour stopped British royal family. Well, they begged them, please don't come up here. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Now, we know that William had tested positive and he had it. And then, of course, they never did say one way or the other whether or not Kate was stricken by it. That's just shade. Never mind. But yeah, they didn't say one way or the other whether Kate was stricken by it. But it caused a great row amongst people in Scotland because they asked him not to come. And also, if you guys remember, before the Queen died earlier this year, I think it was, there was a big story about why is she here? Why is the Queen in Scotland? They didn't want the Queen to come. They didn't want William and Kate, the Cambridges, to show up. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and we're telling people in Scotland to stay home, and you guys keep coming up here. So they actually had in a Scottish newspaper, why is she here? What is the occasion? Why is the Queen here? And no hate against the Queen, but it's just like, why are you here? And that's what it is. See up there, the national. They used the map of Scotland, a silhouette for the I in national, and that I really means independence, right? Baron is proof that William and Kate. Oh yeah, well. Okay, I get you. It'd be kind of hard for her to catch something across town. I got you. Margarita Maxwell, thank you so much. You have explained everything because I wasn't sure. I couldn't understand how could one of them have it and the other one don't. Well, that explains everything. Thank you for your observation, and I think you are absolutely bang on right about that. It's hard to catch something from across town. Now, if you're in the same household, then it's a given. But if you live in, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 miles away, or at least a helicopter ride away, or if you throw an event like the Christmas Carol and both of you show up in separate cars, then there's a good chance that it would be, very difficult for you to catch something. So yeah, point taken. Thank you so much for that. And I see I ain't the only one throwing shade. Okay. So right there, you can see as a result of their visit to Scotland, check it out, they are not amused. They went up there. She has on that coat dress, which is no surprise, but she goes up there in that coat dress, and they both sit there with that something stank look on their face. That is how you look when somebody says, please don't come up here, and you show up anyway. Are they surprised? They asked you not to come, but you came up there anyway. And so now you're sitting up there um, looking like something stank because you didn't listen when they told you to stay home. See? See what happens? All right. So, and as far as that is concerned, let me see here. I had something for that. Oh, nope, that's not it. That's not it. Gosh, I'm not finding anything I'm looking for today. Oh, well, never mind. I guess it wasn't meant to be. Oh, look at that. Look at that. What joy on their faces. What joy. Maybe they should have stayed home. Maybe they should have stayed in England where they were welcome. But seriously, Scotland asked them not to come, and they just showed up anyway, taking all of whatever cooties they had to Scotland with them. Scotland was like, we don't want them cooties. We don't know where y'all been.
Meghan in her Valentino white. Compare, I hate to do this, but compare Meghan in her Valentino white, absolutely wowing the crowds, and dear Kate in that very staid 1940s Amelia Wickstead coat.
Oh, you were really winding me up now, yeah.
Well, I knew that would upset you, Richard, because I know you're more of a Middleton kind of girl and you like the sort of twin set and pearls 50s look. But all I'm saying is, who's speaking to the future generations, the younger generations? It's Meghan.
One more time? How about one more time?
Meghan in her Valentino white. Compare, I hate to do this, but compare Meghan in her Valentino white, absolutely wowing the crowds, and dear Kate in that very staid 1940s Amelia Wickstead coat.
Oh, you were really winding me up now, yeah.
Well, I knew that would upset you, Richard, because I know you're more of a Middleton kind of girl and you like the sort of twin set and pearls 50s look. But all I'm saying is, who's speaking to the future generations, the younger generations? It's Meghan.
Well, I mean, that's her kink is them coat dresses. She's doing the best she can with what she got to work with. Oh, man. So what does these have in common? Sorry, no prizes. Well, let me see. We have the internal combustion engine, so we don't use horses and carriages anymore. We have a contact list in our cell phones, so we don't use the Rolodex anymore. We can do that on our computers and cell phones. And we don't use the rotary phones anymore because they have touch tones and cell phones. And, oh, yeah, I see what they mean. Okay, yeah, I get it. Never mind. Never mind. I get it. Okay, so Charles shares sweet moment with a royal fan. I don't have the video for this. I believe Duchess of Success has it on her video shorts, but I don't have the video for this. And I have to tell you guys, this was absolutely pathetic. I did go and watch it. and there was screams and howls of joy. And this woman literally crawls across the floor and rests her head on Charles III's stomach or bosom or whatever. It was absolutely disgusting. It was just dreadful. I was like, is this woman serious? Has she taken ill? Has she taken a leave of her senses? And apparently it was, it was the worst thing I've seen since that woman kissed what's his name? William's hand on the Caribbean tour where they lost half the Commonwealth. She kissed his hand. This woman crawled across the floor. What I would hope was a very proud Black woman crawled across the floor in excitement. It was humiliating. I'm just like, is she serious? And she's just screaming and hollering. And yeah, she was serious. She was serious. She wanted to celebrate the fact that he was there. I guess she must have had a little bit of a Jones for him for quite some time. And then he shows up. And I don't know, maybe those glasses aren't strong enough or whatever, but he's certainly not what he used to be. And when he used to be, he wasn't that much anyway. But she was just so excited. You would have thought it was the Beatles. You would have thought it was Beyonce. You would have thought it was anybody but Charles. This grubby old thing, you're crawling across the floor for that grubby old man. This person really needs to be institutionalized as far as I'm concerned, because there must be something. You know what? Don't leave any sharp objects around, because this person is twisted. Now, this was, one of those things that was upsetting and jarring to people, because this man spoke a truth, something that we all have known about for quite some time. And it was actually confirmed by his appearance on a, what do you call it? On the, what is that? Channel 4. Is that ITV? Channel 4? But anyway, he was on Channel 4. His name is Neil, we forget his last name. But yeah, he spoke about the, the threats against Meghan. So I'll let you guys take a listen, and then I'll catch you on the other side. Well, let me see.
Steve.
Well, disgusting and very real.
Oh, wait. Did that pause? Okay, give me a second, you guys.
I told public.
You were in charge of royal protection. How would you characterize the threats that Meghan and Harry received?
Well, disgusting and very real. I've talked publicly for many years about the threat of extreme right-wing terrorism in this country. I've often been misquoted as taking my eye off the ball, as though I think that was the biggest threat. I've never called it the biggest threat, but it was the fastest growing. And my wonderful friend and counterpart at MI5 will tell you exactly the same thing, that when I started in CT in 2015, counterterrorism, it was about 6% of our total workload. Certainly when I left 15, 16 months ago, it was over 20% of our workload.
But there were many serious, credible threats against Meghan, were there, emanating from the far right?
Absolutely. If you'd seen the stuff that was written and you were receiving it, the kind of rhetoric that's online, if you don't know what I know, you would feel under threat all of the time.
So you were convinced that there was a genuine threat to Meghan's life on on more than one occasion, on several occasions.
So we had teams investigating it. People have been prosecuted for those threats.
There is a construct that's at play there. And because from the beginning of our relationship, they were so attacking and inciting so much racism, really changed the risk level. It wasn't just catty gossip. And that changed the threat, that changed the level of death threats, that changed everything.
Okay. So you were able to hear Meghan's words at the end of that. But yeah, it's a real thing. It is a real thing. The threats are very real. And no thanks to Jeremy Clarkson, I imagine that it's already going to make a bad thing worse. So, as I said, this is a bit jarring and upsetting, but you need to know that this is a real thing. And so, as Meghan said in the docuseries, that on excuse me, that on occasion she would actually wake up in the middle of the night and walk the hallways and wonder, are we safe here? Are my children safe? Are the doors locked? Are we safe here? And in spite of all of that, there's no apology from the royal family. There is no promise of doing anything differently or doing things better. It's just the continued vitriol and hatred and misogyny and, dare I say, racism that comes from people within the institution, people outside of the institution, the propaganda PR arm of the institution, the Royal Rota, and the British tabloid press. It all seems to be one and the same. And you guys, it's no accident that the right wing has taken over the press. And through, I would imagine, Elon Musk, who seems to be a big right winger himself, taking over the Twitter. These things are no accident. They're done quite deliberately. Now, they haven't really figured out how to corrupt Twitter to the point where it's rendered useless to like-minded people who may have a more left to central point of view. But trust me when I say this, they're working on it. They're working on it. And as soon as they can sort things out, they will. I think it was a big mistake for them to terminate the people who could have, helped them do that, because likely those are the same people who probably would have stopped them from doing that. But it is a very real thing. It's very valid. And of course, the Sussexes are not safe. And for the rest of Harry's life and Meghan's life, they will need protection for themselves and for their family, because thanks to certain people, the world is not as safe as it used to be for anybody. And in particular, thanks to individuals within the firm and people who work and uplift and support the firm, it is certainly not a very safe place for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their children and Doria. So that is the big byproduct of hatred, is that it makes life unsafe for the people that are the focus of the hate campaign. Royals exposed in documentary. So I don't know if you guys heard this from Peter Hunt, but I will share that with you if I can, and I'm going to do my best.
Than I thought. It's punchier than episodes 1 to 3. These are now.
One more time.
Well, it was punchier than I thought. It's punchier than episodes 1 to 3. These are now 4, 5, and 6. I think it means that his book may well be quite a humdinger, because in essence, picking up on what you've just been saying, it paints the institution as cruel. And I think the institution, in terms of any public statement it can make, is quite limited, because I think the veracity of what Harry was saying, and in a very articulate, clear, patient sort of way, I think will be difficult to challenge. The way that they handled the Sandringham summit, as it was said, that thing, as you were saying, decision between 1 and 5, he wanted to sort of half in, half out. They made it very clear to him he was out. That description of his brother screaming at him, his father saying things that simply weren't true, and the grandmother sitting quietly there. I mean, this extraordinary thing where he rings his grandmother, the late Queen. They agree to chat. Then the institution gets involved and suddenly says, "Oh, hang on a minute, her diary's full." This is, remember, as a woman in her 90s. He then rings her back when he lands on terra firma in the UK, and she says, clearly quite embarrassing, "Oh yes, I think there are now things in my diary." So I mean, it's a pretty brutal way of handling. And I think and I've said it before, I may well have said to you, I think the institution was cruel in the way it handled their exit. I don't think they get it. I think they will pay a price over the coming years. And in part, they don't get it because the mirror they see is the mirror of the UK press. One half of the UK publishers Harry is in legal dispute with, one half. And so, they don't necessarily give a dispassionate view to your listeners of what is saying. And it was very striking. Harry said at one point, he talked about the media being partners. I mean, in terms of that relationship, it's a very symbiotic relationship. Both bits need the other. It's it's like some sort of insect on the back of another insect. They need each other. The royals absolutely utterly frustrated about them at times, but they would be. Someone described to me at one moment. There was a moment years ago with the king, who was then Prince Charles, and he was walking along, and it was where's the television camera, because it hadn't turned up, as if this event could not happen without the camera there. And Harry in the documentary talks about his father saying to him one point, "Darling boy, you can't take on the media. The media will always be the media." And Harry said, "I fundamentally disagree." And in a sense, that captures the divide, which is pretty deep in the family, between whether you get into bed with them or whether you, as Harry now is, take them on from the outside.
So there you have it. Harry is going to take them on from the outside. And that makes a lot of sense. You really can't fight a battle like this from inside the institution. Whatever you have to say, it's usually better said away from the institution, because if you're within the institution, then you really look like a big spoiler. But if you're outside of the institution, then it shows that you have conviction. Like all of those people that jumped ship on Donald Trump after January 6th, where were they at for nearly 4 years before that? Like, for instance, the Asian wife of Mitch McConnell, all of the stuff that Trump said to make life unsafe for Asian people in the United States, not even to mention Chinese people, but all of the things that was said and done to make them feel unsafe, insecure, and vulnerable in the United States. It wasn't until January 6th, let's say, 17 days before, not even 17, the 21st of January 6th. So you got less than 2 weeks for Trump to stay in office. And that's when Elaine Chao, the Secretary of Transportation and wife of Mitch McConnell, that is when she took a stand for the United States, not for Asian people, not for Chinese people, but for the people of the United States against Donald Trump. There were plenty warnings that things were going to be weird on January 6th. There were people in the military who were concerned about January 6th, but she waits until, what was it, January the 8th? Was it the 8th, the 7th, the 8th? Before she decides, I'm turning in my resignation. I submit I won't stand for this. So there you go. This is just a confirmation of so many things that the Sussexes have said. It's all about the things that the squad has been saying. And in particular, Tina and Michelle took all that heat because they were trying to tell the story. Tina and Michelle. I mean, of course, Tina suffered, the anxiety and even depression, I suspect, from trying to tell this story. And finally, there is a docuseries which lays out the case. It doesn't completely tell the story. It doesn't do that. There's going to be more to come. Harry's book is coming in about 2 weeks. And I love this timing because it really keeps the press on their toes. It really knocks them off their, it rocks their stability. They don't know which way to turn. So they're just putting a bunch of information out there, which is probably why something like the Jeremy Clarkson thing escaped their notice is because they were too busy looking at other things. They were too busy considering other stuff. They could not really focus on how terrible that article was. So Victoria Newton, who gives the final okay, she just lets that slip by. She thought it was okay, so she let it slip by. Maybe she thought she was helping the palace defend themselves or whatever. But whatever it is, it was stupid. So Charles III has this huge blunder that he has to deal with, and that is Camilla. Camilla has had 3 big missteps, as pointed out by, was it Legs or no, Shelley L. 3 big missteps that have been pointed out. And that, of course, is you still seem to support the definitive biographer of your story. And that, of course, Angela Levin. And then, of course, your lady in waiting has been caught out as a racist. And you still support her. And you still have nothing to say, 3 times, nothing to say. You invite Jeremy Clarkson, who waged this vile, vicious verbal assault on your own family by way of Prince Harry being married to Meghan, and you still say nothing. 3 strikes, you're out. 3 strikes, you're out. And then there's Tom Barrow. Tom Barrow. Old Tom Barrow. Old Tom Barrow. He don't like cotton. Oh, he'd fit in just perfect in the old South. He don't like cotton. He don't like cotton. But still, he has a lot to say. Now, this is going to surprise you. This is going to surprise you. In spite of everything that has been said and everything that has been done, do not despair, because the Sussexes are still winning, and I can prove it. I can prove it. The Sussexes are winning. Uh-oh. Wait for it.
They won't want to come. I think they're building up their own lives now. And the question is really how the royal family handles it. My view is that they've got to, William needs to give some sort of considered reply to these attacks on him and the royal family. It's a very serious situation which they've created, and they're going to earn a fortune out of it. And don't forget, there's Harry's book still to come next month. And then at some stage, there'll be Meghan's book. I mean, they're making a career out of this stuff, and they're getting huge attention. And I will add, I will concede, they're getting a lot of sympathy, both in America and in Europe, and especially across Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean. They are believed. And that is a very, very serious problem for the British royal family and Britain altogether. They won't want to come. I think they're building up their own lives now. And the question is really how the royal family handles it. My view is that they've got to, William needs to give some sort of considered reply to these attacks on him and the royal family. It's a very serious situation which they've created, and they're going to earn a fortune out of it. And don't forget, there's Harry's book still to come next month. And then at some stage, there'll be Meghan's book. I mean, they're making a career out of this stuff, and they're getting huge attention. And I will add, I will concede, they're getting a lot of sympathy, both in America and in Europe, and especially across Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean. They are believed. And that is a very, very serious problem for the British royal family and Britain altogether. They were.
Tom Barrow says they are believed. And this is a huge problem. Yes, people believe them. Now, as you can see, I believe what he said. He has conceded the point that the Sussexes are believed, and that people across the Commonwealth, and we just spoke about the Caribbean. We just spoke about Australia. We don't even need to talk about Canada. Meghan lived there for a while, and I believe the people in Canada, by and large, are on her side. Scotland, Wales, there's all these people who very much feel like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now, that's not to say the Sussexes are enemies. They're just telling their truth. but they are perceived as an enemy to the institution, and therefore, ergo, the idea that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so, again, they're not there to destroy the institution. Harry wants to make sure that he can do what he can to defend his family and put an end to that generational pain that is caused by the pursuit and uplifting and upholding and support of that crown. And if that means the royal family is going to cease to have the power that they have today by this time, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, oh, well, you had a chance to straighten up and fly right, but you chose the dark side. And therefore, the royal family is really going to suffer from their lack of vision. As they said, looking at that man in the mirror, the mirror that the royal family reflects upon is the British tabloid press. How are you going to march toward modernity if you're constantly looking backwards? Just because that's the way it's always been done. And as Harry said, I categorically disagree, Father, that we don't have to perpetuate the humiliation, the pain, and dare I say, the abuse of growing up in that institution. Why would you perpetuate that? Because that's the way it's always been. Just because the Queen was there for 70 years and they lacked much needed progress, yeah, they modernized some things. They installed phones, they had color television, whatever. But in terms of accepting this multicultural society, that they have not done. They still pretty much are stuck in that mindset of the 1950s, which is when the Queen started. Isn't it interesting that the sensibilities and the mindset of Britain seems to be lodged in this amber, if you will, just like you see how they have a mosquito trapped in the amber, which has been there since the Ice Age. That is how the royal family is. And that is how Britain's relationship to the royal family has been stuck all these years because the Queen really didn't change a whole lot. She has been the ultimate company man, and Charles is a company man. William is a company man. They don't want to change anything. They're not thinking about modernity. The idea of having this big, elaborate coronation in comparison to other royal families lets you know that they just don't get it. They don't get it. People are going to watch. I'm going to watch. I'm not even going to say, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to watch it." I've never seen anything like a coronation. I have dreamed about the day I would see a coronation. I'm going to watch it, but I ain't paying for it. I'm not a taxpayer. I'm not a taxpayer. My fuel bill for my home hasn't changed much since the 1990s. It's not that much more expensive than the 1990s. But for someone living in the UK, this is going to be one hell of a winter. And so I'm not going to watch the pageantry on the television and wonder how to heat my home at the same time. I just have never had that issue before. But for the people who are suffering through that, I have nothing but sympathy. All I can say is talk about it now, speak out now, because you may not be here by the time it all goes away. But if you want change now, you better start talking about it. You know, better start talking about it because they're not going to change because you imagine they should. They're going to change because people speak out. And all like let me show you this. Let me show you this. First of all, I I could not help but notice what a striking resemblance that Tom Barrow, what is it, Barrow? I could not help but notice the striking resemblance he has to Gargamel from the Smurfs. I could not help but notice that resemblance. sinister, eyes too close together, weird eyebrows, and that pucker mouth of his. I could not help but notice these similarities. I tell you, when they needed an inspiration for a villain, obviously someone said, "What about that writer? What's his name? The brown nose. What about him? He'd be a good one. Why don't we use him?" I mean, this is an absolute villain who cares nothing about the greatest society. He is only there to uphold people that, okay, there's not that many people that look like him, but he's only there to uphold. Anyway, there's not. I'm trying to avoid saying people that look like him because there's not that many people that look like him. But okay, this is what I wanted to show you. £32,000 was spent on travel for the royals to the premiere of Daniel Craig's last James Bond movie, No Time to Die, and that was in September of 2021. So just a little over a year ago, they spent £32,000. There was no dispute about this. £32,000. It costs thousands of dollars every time they fly somewhere. Every time you gather a motorcade, you're paying for man hours. And every time they move, it costs a lot of money. The only way they save money is if they just hop in the car and drive themselves. But this was before the Queen died. So you have three big units of protection when these couples are together. You have the Cambridge people, you have the Cornwall Wells people, and then whoever's protecting the Queen. And then there's still more protection for the rest of the family. But that ain't even the cost. That's not where the £32,000 comes from. That comes from just one night of going to see a movie. And they seem to think that the Sussexes are the ones tearing down Great Britain, the ones who are trying to destroy Great Britain. Why don't... Oh, never mind. I don't want to look at him no more. Thanks to you tax-paying people, us royals won't be going hungry or cold this winter. But what about the rest of the people? What about the rest of the people? What about their warmth? What about their hunger? Like right here. Here's that graph again. Since the start of the pandemic, the economy has grown in the United States 4.2%, 2.1% in Canada. And just notice how the closer you get to the UK, the worse things seem to get. I mean, except for Japan, is kind of weird too. But all right, Italy, 1.8%, France, 1.1%, Japan, 0.6%, Germany, 0.2%, the UK, minus 0.4%. Minus 0.4%. I bet you people wish they had that $32,000 that it took, or £32,000 that it took to go to a movie. £32,000 so that Kate can reenact a scene from a Joan Crawford movie when you got people that are hungry or homeless or can't pay their fuel bill. They're going to have warming centers for people that may find it too dangerous to stay at home. But they are preoccupied with Harry and Meghan. Make that make sense. And then, of course, there's the hostage photo. Now, this is what I noticed yesterday, and I was unable to show you because I cropped the photo too much. But notice, like I said, Hussey is dressed like she's about to start a revolution. I mean, she looks like a, what is that word I'm looking for? She looks like an anarchist girlfriend. I mean, she's got on the black turtleneck. She's wearing the dark skirt. And notice the pantyhose has a bit of a pattern to it. I was like, what the hell is she dressed up for? I mean, she was like, I want to look a little more Brixton. Maybe I'll wear a turtleneck So it looked like I want to start a revolution, and I'll probably wear some. Uh, anyway, and then of course, if you look over at Nagazi, she is wearing her hair up, no earrings. She is very conservative in her dress. She's even wearing something around her neck like Angela 11. Did you notice that? She's doing an Angela 11 and wearing something around her neck. Angela 11 does that a lot too. So, that looks like something out of Angela 11's closet, as a matter of fact. I mean, it does look staged, doesn't it? It does look staged. I mean, you have Susan Hussey, like, gosh, her skin is brown. Look at her face. God, she's very brown, isn't she? And then, of course, you have Nagazi looking like, she's in some kind of hostage video or something. So, good one, Anna. Good one. Anna Boy says Che Guevara's girlfriend. Yeah, she looks like she was on a blind date and started dating Che Guevara and started changing the way she dressed, right? So Susan Hussey obviously once dated Che Guevara and Moses and probably quite a few other people from our history. Jack the Ripper. I mean, she's kind of old, but yeah. So, oh yeah, Kathy G, it is sad, and I guess I shouldn't be sitting here making fun of her, but she is being 50% of herself. She has been marked down 50%, and she's trying to not trigger Susan Hussey, and that's probably what they told her. They probably said, "Listen, Fulani, if you want to come, please make sure you try to dress a little more Eurocentric and posh and rich and royal, because we don't want to trigger Susan. Susan is older and she doesn't seem to have much by way of a filter. So if you could please dress just a little more, how do we put it, posh and more acceptable for us, then we would like for her to apologize to you. But if you wear something too ethnic, it may trigger her and she may have an uncontrollable fit of Tourette syndrome and just say all kind of things she doesn't mean to say, like where you're from, is that hair ethnic, no, where are you really from, why are you brown? Oh, oh, Baron, is that the reason why the Pharaoh hated Moses? Yeah, because Susan Hussey once dated Moses, and then she got into a relationship with the Pharaoh. And next thing you know, there was this mass exodus from Egypt. So Susan has been around for a great deal of history, all the way from the what is that, the Palean whatever time. I mean, there are a few people alive today. There are a few people alive today who was able to see Mount Etna erupt and envelop. Oh gosh, what is? Oh wait. Yes, there was a few people alive today who was around when Mount Etna um, covered Pompeii in ash and pumice, but Susan Hussey was there. There are a few people alive today who actually heard the eruption of Krakatoa, but Susan Hussey was there. There were a few people around today who witnessed the Great Fire of London of 1666, but Susan Hussey was there. So there's a living history going on with her. Oh man. So I'm not going to be so hard on her because she has witnessed a lot. I mean, what was life like before they discovered the Americas? I don't know. Ask Susan Hussey. She was here. So, okay, you guys, I'm getting silly. Let me see if I'm at the end. It's probably about time. Oh, look at there. Look at there. There's a close up. Look at that pattern on those pantyhose. What was she dressed up for? Huh? What was she dressed up for? I don't know. I mean, dare I say that's a bit risque for someone her age. But again, if you're trying to impress someone and look like you down with it, she's trying to get girl friendly. You see, she's trying to be sister girl. She's trying to get all girl friendly with her. She probably say, "Hey girl, hey girlfriend." She's trying to get all girl friendly and be all down with it and everything. I'm surprised she didn't put an afro pick in her hair. She probably did. Do you think it would have been too much? Do you think it would have been too much if she went and found herself a little afro pick so she could try to impress Fulani? Just put a little afro pick in there or something just to try to be down with it and impress her. But I'm telling you, I was thinking about those pantyhose. I'm just like, that was rather odd. You just don't expect a lady in waiting to show up at the meeting wearing a black turtleneck and some pantyhose or whatever. And see, whatever she was actually wearing, maybe it was the palace. Maybe it was the palace. Maybe it was the palace that suggested the black turtleneck. Because if you look at her right hand, whatever she had on, and I don't suppose it was a white robe, but whatever she had on before that is kind of peeking out under the cuff of her turtleneck. So she was obviously wearing something else. I'm spending $2 to tell you I can't breathe. Woo! Thank you, Shelly L. I appreciate it. And I'm almost done. But I just could not wrap my brain around this. What was she dressed up for? And then look at her like, uh-oh, uh-oh, huh. She just sitting there looking like, huh. I'm pretty sure when she saw Susan walk in dressed up like that, she wasn't sure what was going on. But then, bam, there goes the pantyhose. And then, of course, Nagazi was like, huh, okay. I should have worn my stuff. But there you have it. Anyway, to sum up today's Royal Sussex, let me quote Our Majesty the Queen when I say 1992 is a year that I should look back upon with undiluted pleasure. It was an bliss. It was an angry anus. That's what it was. 1992 is a year which I should look back upon with undiluted pleasure. It was a year that 3 of my children divorced and my castle burned down without the benefit of insurance. So that was a heck of a year for us. So whatever anybody says, I am never going to assume that the pace in which she expired had anything to do with the Sussexes. The Queen had a lot of pressure long before Meghan arrived. I mean, after all, if she could survive 1992, she can survive anything. Okay? I mean, she lost her castle. She lost 3 of the marriages. I think one of her dogs died. I mean, it's just like her life was like a country music song. 1992 was as close as the Queen could ever come to having written a country music album. You know, she lost the house, lost the dog, lost three of the marriages. It was 1992. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was 1992. So, in closing, by the way, you guys, I do have the list, and thank you all for being here. Let me find that list because I am done today, and I thank you for your time. I'm going to try to come on earlier tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Let me see. Thank you, Sherry Ware, for the list of donors for today. So Zig Owl, Nafisa Sabaz, Phyllis Johnson, Legs, Elaine Parker, Shelly L, God's Child, MOC, Shelly Korsha, Georgia Walker, and Shelly L. Shelly L. Thank you so much for the donations. Hope I didn't miss anybody. And also thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Thank you, moderators, for doing an amazing job keeping this a safe space. I did go through some of the blocked people, and as per usual, you guys made the right call, and I do appreciate that because there has been quite a few haters trying to attack the Sussexes and hypercritical of your host, but that's okay. I have a pretty thick skin. And you guys, oh, Kim, thank you so much. Kim says, Baron, I have not caught a live in a while, but always catch up later. Thank you for all your hard work and the best of laughs I've had in a many. Okay, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Claudia Blanco, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. And thank you for listening to my rendition of 1992. Oh, man. Could you imagine if Harry ever heard me doing my 1992? I'm sure that it wouldn't go over so well. I mean, I know he would probably understand. I mean, he is straight out of Montecito, so I'm sure he would understand, right? I mean, yeah, because he's straight out of Montecito. But yeah, I don't know how he would take my 1992. That would probably but I'm just trying to do it with the same type of, inflection that the Queen used in order for people to understand what, was happening in 1992. I mean, some of us were here, some of us may be a bit young, but I recall, so I just wanted to share that. Okay, and Netflix is still number one all around the world. That's what I saw on CNN. Now I remember they were saying, okay. Okay, thank you, Margarita Maxwell. Colorless, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Sunday, and also happy holidays to you. But yeah, so there was a lot going on in 1992. Da, 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 da. I was dreaming when I wrote that, so sue me if I go too fast. Da, 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 da. Well, it was 1992, and I was glad it didn't last. Da, 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 da. Oh, man. Like I said, it's time for me to go. Oh, man. Harry, if you're listening, I am not here to imply that your grandma would in any way record a Prince album or a Prince cover, if you will. I'm just having some fun. It's not like I'm showing people how I curtsied or something. So be cool. I'm just having fun. Oh man. Judith Reynolds says, thank you very much. We all needed a good laugh. You do sound like the queen. Thank you. Wait. Thank you. Oh man. Okay. So all right, you guys, we're good, and I'm gonna go and let's ginger adventure, and I will see you all tomorrow. By the way, don't forget, these are those incredible women that made the Sussexes' life what it is today. It was their nurturing and their input, their kindness and their thoughtfulness and their sense of humanity that has made Harry and Meghan the couple that they are today. So don't forget, that's where they get it from, is from those amazing queens, Diana and Doria. Okay, and with that, I will take the last word of the day, which is good night, everyone. Thank you. Perfect so much, Dorcas Baker. That sounds right to me. All right, and cue Ginger Avenger. Okay, and go. Well, let's see. Tom Bauer says Harry and Meghan are making money. Bauer's newspaper, etc., have not made money. Reality check. Many in the Commonwealth are taking the treatment of Harry and Meghan personally. Silence from the palace hurts. Lockout. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. It is very true that the silence from the palace is deafening, as they say, and that they do need to speak up about that. And thank you, God's child. And also thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, well, Tom Bowers is making money. It is a billion-dollar industry, and his appearances are usually subsidized, as is Angela Levin, Camilla Tominey, and everybody else in the hate parade. They are usually paid for those television appearances. They ain't doing nothing for free. And so one of the posh extras that comes with being a royal reporter is you have those occasions where you show up at the various houses of Windsors and you get those amazing dinners. And as she said, what was that she said? I was with Charles on his last working day as the Prince of Wales. He hosted me with typical generosity. Whatever does that mean? And what in the Frappuccino were you doing up in Scotland? I still would like an answer for that. But yeah, there's a lot of things that was going on. And the Royal Rotor and the British tabloid media are just an extension of the royal family's PR. It's a very powerful institution. And when the Sussexes, in particular, Prince Harry, decided to take them on, as he said, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. It may not be the smartest thing, but the way things are going, we just have to. And so, not exactly his words, but that's the way it is. They're never going to leave the Sussexes alone. So you may as well tell your story, make it a public record, and get paid over $100 million and at the same time. Matter of fact, get $1 billion. I'll support you. All right. Thank you so much, God's child. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And again, thank you to the ladies that hosted Church Nellie at that Christmas party. You know, our Church Nellie doesn't get out much. And anytime she has a chance to, you know, play a little cards and tip a male exotic dancer, that's a good day. That's a good day. So cheers to Church Nellie and to the exotic dancers at Christmas and whoever those ladies are. P.S. Don't forget to send her flask back. Right? Right. She needs that flask for medicinal purposes. Okay, so that's it. Merry Christmas, everyone. And I don't know who's going to be around Christmas Eve, but I'll be here, and Christmas Day and New Year's, just like we did it last year. So if you guys will be around, I'll try to plan something interesting. However, because of copyright, there will be no music, but maybe we'll do some call-in greetings or whatever. So it'll be fun. Thank you so much, everyone. Love you guys, and I will see you all tomorrow.